Jennifer Carrey stood in her Soho loft, surrounded by ring lights and cameras, reviewing the day's shoot on her phone. The editorial series had been exhausting but stunning. Her draped in midnight blue silk against minimalist backgrounds, every shot radiating the confidence that had made her one of New York's most sought-after models. At 28, she'd worked with everyone who mattered, but she never let success make her careless, except tonight. Exhausted, she scrolled through the selects to send to her agent Marcus, selected 3 of the strongest images, and hit send. 5 seconds later, her stomach dropped. The recipient name glared back at her. Mr. Kim, Building Management, not Marcus Chen, Elite Models. Her fingers flew across the screen. Wrong number. Please delete those immediately. So sorry for the confusion. She watched the typing indicator appear, then stop, then appear again. Finally, no apology necessary. You're exquisite, Miss Carrey. I appreciate you sharing these with me. Her blood ran cold. Then another message. I'll see you tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Wear something comfortable. We have much to discuss. Jennifer's hands trembled. Who talks like that? Who was this man? And how did he know her name? Welcome back, my beautiful family and friends. I have missed you all, missed all the experiences we've had together. It's been a rough ride, but trust me, we're getting everything back and running. So stick around. I need your support on YouTube now more than ever. Thank you specially for sticking around to this very moment. If you're hooked in and you're ready to enjoy this story, click subscribe and let me know in the comments where you're watching from, because tomorrow I will be giving you another story just as interesting as this one, and you don't want to miss it. Now, back to the story. Jennifer had imagined a monster. What stood in her doorway at exactly 9 a.m. was something far more dangerous. A man in an impeccable white suit, holding 2 cups of artisan coffee and a small box from Dominique Ancel Bakery, looking at her with dark eyes that held no threat, only quiet certainty. Miss Carrey. His voice was smooth, accented, cultured. May I come in? She should have slammed the door, should have screamed, should have done anything except step aside and watch him walk into her loft as if he'd been invited, as if this were the most natural thing in the world. He moved with the kind of grace that came from absolute confidence, setting the coffee and pastries on her kitchen counter with careful precision. I don't know you, Jennifer managed, her voice steadier than she felt. Her hand still gripped her phone, 911 ready to dial. Kwang-Sun, he said, turning to face her fully. God, he was beautiful. Sharp jawline, perfectly styled black hair with distinguished silver at the temples. A face that belonged in a cologne advertisement. And you are Jennifer Carrey, 28, born in Baltimore, graduated Parsons, currently signed with Elite Models, ranked in Vogue's top 30 models to watch. You drink oat milk lattes, prefer natural light for shoots, and, according to your interview with Essence last year, you believe the fashion industry needs to make space rather than just representation. Her blood ran cold. You researched me. I own this building, he said simply, opening the bakery box to reveal perfect croissants. And 47 others in Manhattan. When someone accidentally sends me intimate photographs, I make it my business to know who they are. Coffee? He offered her a cup as if they were old friends. Jennifer's hands trembled. I'm calling the police. You could. He took a sip of his own coffee, completely unfazed. I have dinner with Commissioner Hayes this Thursday. We're discussing a donation to the NYPD youth program. But if you'd prefer I leave. He set down his cup, those dark eyes meeting hers directly. I'll go. No pressure, no obligation. Though I think you're curious why a man who has everything would show up at your door interested in more than your beauty. The words stopped her finger above the call button. You don't know anything about me. I know you grew up in a neighborhood that didn't see your potential. I know you put yourself through Parsons working 3 jobs. I know you send money home to your mother and sister every month even though you have student loans. I know you turned down a lingerie campaign last year because they wanted you to lose 10 pounds. You told them to lose your number instead. A ghost of a smile. I know you're stronger than you pretend to be, and lonelier. Jennifer's breath caught. No one talked to her like this. No one saw past the surface. "Why are you here?" she whispered. "Because last night at 11 p.m., I received 3 photographs of the most captivating woman I've seen in a decade, and in her eyes I saw something that matched what I feel every night when I stand on my terrace looking at this city." He paused. Recognition. Of what? Loneliness, ambition, the exhaustion of being looked at but never seen. Against every instinct, every warning bell in her mind, Jennifer asked, "What's in the box?" Kwang-Sun's smile was devastating. "Sit with me. Let's find out." 4 hours later, Jennifer sat cross-legged on her couch, empty coffee cups and croissant crumbs between them, discussing Toni Morrison and Carrey James Marshall and whether ambition was compensation for childhood invisibility. Kwang-Sun listened, really listened, asked questions that made her think deeper, challenged her assumptions without dismissing them. When he finally stood to leave, Jennifer felt more unsettled than when he'd arrived. He hadn't touched her, hadn't threatened, hadn't even asked to see her again. At the door, he turned back. "I saw you, Jennifer. That's all I wanted you to know." After he left, she stood in her loft for 20 minutes, staring at his empty coffee cup, realizing the most terrifying thing of all. She wanted him to see her again.
"Girl, you did not." Keisha stared at Jennifer across the small table at their favorite West Village cafe, her latte forgotten. "Please tell me you did not spend 4 hours having coffee with a man who showed up uninvited at your apartment?" "He brought croissants from Dominique Ancel," Jennifer said weakly, knowing how insane it sounded. Jennifer Marie Carrey. Keisha pulled out her phone, fingers flying across the screen. "What's his name again? Kwang-Sun what?" "Just Kwang-Sun. I don't know his last name." Keisha's thumbs paused. "You don't... Jesus, Jen." More typing, then scrolling, her expression shifting from concern to confusion. Okay, so he's legitimate. Real estate mogul, import-export business, tech investments. There's a Forbes article calling him one of New York's most successful immigrant entrepreneurs. Philanthropist, sits on boards, donated $2 million to immigrant family services last year. She looked up. He's basically Bruce Wayne without the cape. But? Jennifer knew there was a but. She'd heard it in Keisha's voice. Keisha set down her phone. "My cousin Tasha works in the DA's office. Let me make a call." 20 minutes later, Keisha returned from outside, her face pale. "Jen, you need to block his number and never speak to him again." What did Tasha say? That Kwang-Sun controls Korean organized crime in New York, that he's untouchable because he's smart enough to keep everything looking legitimate, that the DA's been trying to build a case for 3 years and can't make anything stick. Keisha grabbed Jennifer's hands. "He's dangerous, Jen, like actually dangerous." Jennifer's phone buzzed on the table. A text from an unknown number. "Dinner tonight? I know a place that makes the best bibimbap in Manhattan. I'd like to hear about your day. K." She should delete it, should block him like Keisha said, should run as far from Kwang-Sun as possible. Instead, she texted back, 8 p.m.? The restaurant was tucked into Koreatown, unremarkable from outside, but inside it was elegant intimacy, low lighting, private booths, the scent of sesame and grilled meat. Kwang-Sun stood when she arrived, this time in a charcoal suit that probably cost more than her rent, and Jennifer felt suddenly underdressed in her simple black dress, until she saw his expression, like she was the only thing worth looking at in the entire city. Over 12 courses of exquisite Korean cuisine. They talked about everything. He asked about her childhood in Baltimore, listened intently to stories about her grandmother who raised her, laughed at her terrible attempt at Korean pronunciation, and then, over tea, he asked the question that changed everything. What do you want, Jennifer? Beyond modeling, beyond the surface. What keeps you awake at 3 in the morning? No one had ever asked her that. No one cared about her dreams beyond the next campaign, the next runway show. I want to open a creative agency, she heard herself say, for models of color. Not just representation, but real support, financial literacy, contract negotiation, mental health resources, career planning beyond aging out of the industry. Why haven't you? Money, risk, fear of failing. She laughed bitterly. Take your pick. Kwang-Sun studied her across the table. You'll do it. You have the vision and the courage. You just need someone to believe in you first. 2 days later, a business consultant named Sarah Chan called. Miss Carrey, I represent an anonymous benefactor interested in funding your creative agency. We'd like to schedule a meeting to discuss terms. Jennifer knew immediately. She texted Kwang-Sun. We need to talk. Now. He was waiting in the lobby of her building, that slight smile playing at his lips. You figured it out. You can't just... Jennifer struggled for words. You can't make decisions about my life because we had dinner. I didn't make any decisions. I simply invested in potential. He stepped closer. Yours is considerable. I believe in supporting ventures that matter. Your agency matters. She should be furious, should throw his money back in his face, should maintain boundaries. Instead, she found herself asking, why me? Because you see people the way I wish the world had seen me when I first came to this country. His hand reached up, not quite touching her face. Because you listen to dreams the way my mother used to. Because I think you could change your industry, and I want to watch you do it. Jennifer's breath caught. You're dangerous. Yes. I should stay away from you. Yes. I'm not going to, are I? Kwang-Sun's smile was devastating. No, you're not.
The gold gown had been a gift. Valentino, custom fitted, the kind of dress that made cameras fall in love. Jennifer stood beside Kwang-Sun in the Plaza Hotel ballroom, crystal chandeliers casting warm light over 500 guests who'd paid $10,000 a plate for the Immigrant Family Services Foundation Gala. His hand rested at the small of her back, proprietary but gentle, and she'd never felt more photographed in her life. "You're nervous," he murmured, leaning close enough that she caught his cologne, something expensive and understated. "I'm the only black woman here who isn't serving champagne," she whispered back. His jaw tightened. "You're the most accomplished person in this room. They should be nervous about impressing you." The headlines would say otherwise tomorrow. She'd already spotted 3 gossip columnists and at least 1 Page 6 photographer. Model Jennifer Carrey on the arm of mysterious mogul Kwang-Sun would be splashed across every fashion blog by morning. The introductions came in waves. Business associates whose names sounded legitimate, but whose eyes assessed her with calculation. An art dealer who spoke about importing cultural artifacts with emphasis that suggested something else entirely. Women in designer gowns who smiled with their mouths, but not their eyes, already cataloging whether she was competition or distraction. Then Min-jun appeared, Kwang-Sun's second in command, all sharp angles and sharper suit, his handshake perfunctory and cold. "Miss Carrey," no warmth in his voice, "how generous of you to grace us with your presence." "How generous of you to acknowledge it," Jennifer replied smoothly, refusing to be dismissed. Something flickered in Min-jun's eyes, surprise, maybe respect, before he turned to Kwang-Sun. "We need to discuss the Brooklyn situation, soon. Tomorrow." Kwang-Sun's tone left no room for argument. After Min-jun departed, Jennifer excused herself to the terrace, needing air, needing distance from the careful doublespeak and calculating stares. The November night was cold against her bare shoulders, the city stretched below like a carpet of stars. Kwang-Sun found her there moments later, draping his jacket over her shoulders without a word. They stood in silence, watching traffic crawl along Fifth Avenue. "He doesn't approve of me," Jennifer said finally. "Minjan doesn't approve of anything that makes me vulnerable." "Is that what I do?" Kwang-Sun turned to face her fully. "Yes, and it terrifies me as much as it terrifies him." Jennifer pulled his jacket tighter. "Tell me the truth. What you do, the real business, not the pretty charity galas. Tell me." He didn't insult her with denial. "I provide services the legal system fails to provide. A restaurant owner needs protection from extortion but can't go to police because he's undocumented. I provide protection. A family needs a loan but banks won't touch them because they have no credit history. I provide capital. Two businesses have a dispute but can't afford lawyers and don't trust the courts. I provide conflict resolution." "You make it sound noble." "It's not. It's necessary. There's a difference." He met her eyes. "I exist in the gray space between what the law provides and what communities need to survive." "And when your conflict resolution involves violence?" Jennifer challenged. "When protection means broken bones? When loans come with threats?" Kwang-Sun didn't look away. "Sometimes the world requires difficult choices. I won't lie to you, Jennifer. There have been times when violence was necessary. Times when mercy would have been seen as weakness and invited worse. I'm not a hero, but I'm not the villain you're imagining either." "Then what are you?" "A man trying to survive in a world that gave me two choices when I came here at 17, starve or adapt." His voice roughened. "I chose to adapt. I built something from nothing. I protect people who have no one else. But the cost," he turned back to the city, "the cost is steep, and it's paid in compromises you can never take back." Jennifer should walk away, should call Keisha, pack a bag, disappear into her old safe life. Instead, she found herself asking, "Do you regret it?" "Every day, and not at all." He looked at her. "I don't ask you to approve of what I do, Jennifer. I only ask that you try to understand why." The honesty cut through every defense she'd built. He wasn't selling her a fantasy or hiding behind justifications. He was offering her the truth, ugly and complicated and real. "I'm still here," she said softly. Kwang-Sun's hand found hers in the darkness. "I know. That's what scares me most." The parking garage was nearly empty at 11 p.m., just Jennifer's heels echoing against concrete after a 14-hour shoot in Brooklyn. She was exhausted, thinking about the bathtub and wine waiting in her apartment when the van's side door slid open. 3 men in black masks moved fast. Jennifer's scream cut through the garage as hands grabbed her arms, trying to drag her toward the van. Training kicked in, the self-defense classes she'd taken years ago when a photographer's assistant had gotten too aggressive. She drove her elbow back hard, felt it connect with someone's face, kicked at kneecaps, clawed at the mask of the man trying to cover her mouth. "Get her in, now!" The accent was thick, Eastern European. She was losing, 3 against 1, her evening gown restricting movement, her heels useless as weapons. One man had her wrists pinned, another was reaching for her legs, and Jennifer realized with cold terror that she was about to disappear into that van and no one would know where. Suddenly, the grip on her wrists released. The man holding her flew backward into a concrete pillar with a sickening crack. 2 more men in dark suits materialized from nowhere, moving with practiced efficiency. The attackers scattered, one limping, another clutching his ribs, jumping into the van as it screeched away. Jennifer collapsed against her car, shaking violently. One of her rescuers spoke into an earpiece. "She's secure. Alert him." Kwang-Sun arrived in less than 6 minutes. She'd never seen him move that fast, never seen that expression, fury and fear warring across his face. He dropped to his knees beside her, hands hovering as if afraid to touch her, afraid she might break. "Are you hurt?" His voice was raw. "Jennifer, look at me. Are you hurt?" "My wrists." She could barely form words. "They grabbed." He was already examining them, gentle despite the rage she could feel radiating from him. Purple bruises bloomed where rough hands had gripped. "We're going to the penthouse, now, no arguments." She didn't argue. His penthouse bathroom was all marble and soft light. Kwang-Sun knelt before her with a first aid kit, cleaning scratches she hadn't noticed, wrapping her wrists with gauze. His hands shook. This man who controlled half of Manhattan, whose reputation was built on ice-cold composure, couldn't steady his hands. "Dmitry Volkov," he said finally, not meeting her eyes. "Russian. He's been trying to move into Koreatown for months. I've blocked him at every turn." He finished the bandage, but didn't let go of her hand. "He targeted you because you're with me, because he knows hurting you is the fastest way to—" His jaw clenched. "This is my fault. You didn't attack me. I put you in his crosshairs just by existing in your life." He finally looked up, and the anguish in his eyes made her chest tight. "I should walk away, let you go back to your safe, normal life. Don't I get a say in that? Jennifer, no." She cupped his face with bandaged hands. "You don't get to make that choice for me." He set her up in the guest room, tasteful, elegant, impersonal. But at 3 a.m., after 2 hours of staring at the ceiling while replaying hands grabbing her in the dark, Jennifer gave up on sleep. She found Kwang-Sun on the terrace in a t-shirt and pajama pants, staring at the city like it held answers. "Can't sleep either?" she asked softly. He turned, and something in his expression cracked. "I keep thinking about what would have happened if my men had been 30 seconds slower." Jennifer joined him at the railing, but they weren't. This time. They stood in silence, the city breathing around them. Eventually, Kwang-Sun started talking about coming to New York at 17 with nothing, about his mother's death from cancer because they couldn't afford treatment, about choices made in desperation that became a life. Jennifer listened, watching the man behind the empire emerge in the darkness. "Do you ever get tired?" she asked as dawn painted the sky pink. "Every single day." "Then why keep going?" "Because stopping means abandoning everyone who depends on me, and I've abandoned enough people already." The honesty broke something open in her chest. This wasn't a criminal. This was a man carrying impossible weight, drowning slowly in responsibilities he could never put down. When he walked her back inside as sunlight filled the penthouse, Jennifer stopped him at the hallway. She rose on her toes and kissed him, gentle, tentative, loaded with everything neither could say yet. His hand came up to cradle her face, thumb brushing her cheek. And for that moment, nothing else existed except the two of them, broken and bruised, and somehow finding each other anyway. When she pulled back, his eyes were closed, as if trying to memorize the feeling. "Stay," he whispered. "Not in the guest room. With me." Jennifer took his hand. "Okay." The rhythm came surprisingly easily. Jennifer would wake to find Kwang-Sun already up, 2 coffee cups waiting on the terrace, oat milk latte for her, Americano for him. They'd watch the city come alive while discussing everything from her upcoming shoot schedules to his observations about human nature. Then he'd disappear into his study for business she didn't ask about, and she'd set up her laptop in the living room, reviewing contracts and mood boards sent by her agent. The penthouse felt less like a gilded cage and more like a sanctuary. Mrs. Kim, the housekeeper, fussed over Jennifer like a grandmother, leaving out snacks and asking about her day in broken English. Chef Min prepared meals that balanced Jennifer's dietary needs with Kwang-Sun's Korean preferences. Even the security team nodded respectfully when they passed, no longer just guards, but quiet presences ensuring her safety. She discovered Kwang-Sun's secrets slowly. The studio room filled with canvases, abstract pieces in dark blues and grays, violent brushstrokes that spoke of internal storms. Philosophy books stacked everywhere with passages underlined and notes in Korean in the margins. A laptop left open showing anonymous donation receipts to women's shelters, immigrant legal funds, youth programs. "You paint," she said one evening, finding him in the studio, brush in hand. He didn't turn around. "It's the only time my mind quiets." She moved closer, studying the canvas. A figure drowning in waves that might be water or shadows. It's beautiful, sad but beautiful. Like recognizing like. He finally looked at her. You see the sadness in everything too? That's why your photographs always have that quality. You capture what people hide. The observation settled into her chest, true and terrifying. Min Jun was harder to crack. For 6 weeks, he remained coldly professional until one morning when Jennifer overheard him tell Kwang-Sun that her presence was making you weak, making you vulnerable. She'd stormed into the study uninvited. I'm standing right here, Min Jun. If you have something to say about me, say it to my face. Min Jun's expression remained impassive. You're a distraction. Distractions get people killed in our world. Your world, Jennifer corrected, not mine. And maybe if Kwang-Sun has something worth being distracted by, something worth protecting beyond territory and reputation, that's not weakness, that's remembering he's human. Something shifted in Min Jun's eyes. The next morning, he nodded at her in the hallway. Good morning, Miss Carrey. It wasn't friendship, but it was respect. 8 weeks in, the outside world felt distant. Dimitri's threat contained by increased security, Jennifer's career managed remotely, their existence reduced to this bubble of morning coffee and evening meals and late-night conversations where they excavated each other's histories like archaeologists searching for artifacts that explained who they'd become. Then came the nightmare. Jennifer woke gasping, still feeling hands grabbing her in the dark, still hearing the van's door sliding open. She was shaking so hard the bed moved, panic clawing up her throat. Kwang-Sun pulled her against his chest, one hand cradling her head, the other wrapped around her waist. You're safe. I have you. You're safe. He repeated it like a mantra until her breathing steadied, until the shaking stopped, until she could separate past from present. I'm sorry, she whispered against his skin. Never apologize for surviving. She looked up at him in the darkness, and something shifted. His hand moved to her face, thumb tracing her cheekbone. Jennifer. She kissed him first, but he responded like a man starving. Where the first kiss had been tentative, this was certain. His hands moved reverently across her body, learning every curve, every response, treating her like something precious and vital. When they finally came together, it wasn't just physical. It was the meeting of two people who'd been alone for so long, they'd forgotten what it felt like to be known. Afterward, lying in the tangle of sheets with dawn approaching, Kwang-Sun traced patterns on her shoulder. I didn't know I was lonely until I met you. Now I can't imagine silence again. Jennifer's eyes burned. I'm in love with you. The words escaped before she could stop them. His hand stilled. That terrifies you. Yes, because loving you means accepting your world, and I don't know if I'm strong enough for that. You're the strongest person I know. He turned her to face him. And I love you too, which terrifies me more. They held each other as the city woke around them, two people drowning in something neither could control, knowing that love in this world came with a price neither had calculated yet.
Jennifer was looking for a charger, that's all. Kwang-Sun was at a meeting in Queens and her laptop was dying, and she remembered seeing extra cables in his study. The file was on his desk, manila folder with her name typed neatly on the tab, Carrey, Jennifer, Marie. Her hands shook as she opened it. Surveillance photos. Her leaving her building, walking to the subway, at Fashion Week, having coffee with Keisha. Dated months before the accidental photo. Background checks on her mother in Baltimore, her sister at Columbia. Financial records showing her student loans, her rent, her credit score. And at the bottom, yellowed with age, a loan agreement signed by Marcus Carrey, her father, 5 years ago. $50,000 borrowed from an operation called Hanmi Capital, Kwang-Sun's front company. Interest compounded. Total owed at time of Marcus Carrey's death, $82,000. Legally transferable to next of kin. The next page made her stomach drop. A handwritten note in Korean with English translation paperclipped. Monitor daughter. Ensure no competing interests attempt collection. Debt forgiveness pending review. Dated 3 years ago. 3 years before the accidental photo.
She was still sitting there, files spread across the desk like evidence of a crime, when Kwang-Sun came home. She heard his footsteps stop in the doorway. "Jennifer, was any of it real?" Her voice came out flat, dead. "The coffee that first morning? The restaurant? The way you looked at me like I mattered?" "Let me explain. You were watching me." She stood, scattering photos across the floor. "For 3 years, you were watching me like I was some asset to manage, some debt to collect." "No." He stepped into the room, hands raised. "It wasn't like that." "Then what was it like, Kwang-Sun? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you targeted me. The accidental photo wasn't fate, it was just convenient cover for your sick obsession. I forgave your father's debts 3 years ago." His voice cut through her rage. He moved to the desk, pulled out another file, threw it between them. "Look at it. Debt cancellation, dated April 2021. Your father owed me money, yes. He gambled it away at underground card games I didn't even run. When he died, the debt became yours legally. I could have collected. I didn't." Jennifer's hands trembled as she picked up the paperwork. Official cancellation, stamped and signed. "Then why keep watching me?" The words barely made it past the tightness in her throat. "Why the surveillance? Why monitor me if the debt was gone?" Kwang-Sun's composure cracked. "Because the debt was canceled, but the word wasn't out. Other operations, smaller players who didn't answer to me, they might have tried to collect. I kept tabs to make sure no one touched you. That's all. Protection from a distance." "That's still stalking." "I know." The admission came out raw. "I know it was wrong. I knew it then. But your father came to me desperate, Jennifer. He had 2 daughters and crushing debt and nowhere to turn. I gave him the loan knowing the risk. When he died, I felt," he stopped, jaw working, "responsible. For you and your sister. So I watched. Made sure you were safe. That's all it was supposed to be. Until the photo. Until the photo." His eyes met hers. "I had never seen your face up close, never heard your voice. You were just a name in a file, an obligation to protect. Then you sent that photo, and I saw your eyes, really saw you, and I couldn't walk away. I told myself one coffee, one conversation, just to make sure you were okay. And then you were brilliant and funny and saw through my bullshit, and I—" His voice broke. "I fell in love with who you were, not who I'd been monitoring. How do I know any of this is true?" Tears streamed down Jennifer's face. "How do I know I'm not just some project to you, some way to feel better about being a criminal?" The words landed like a slap. Kwang-Sun flinched but didn't defend himself. "You don't," he said quietly. "You have to decide whether to trust me, and I understand if you can't." Jennifer grabbed her phone, her purse, headed for the door. He didn't try to stop her. "Jennifer?" His voice caught her at the threshold. "I love you. That was never pretend." She didn't turn around. "I don't know what's real anymore." Her apartment felt foreign after 2 months away. She blocked his number, called Keisha, and cried until she had nothing left. Outside, the city continued without her, indifferent to her breaking heart. 72 hours. That's how long Jennifer lasted before her phone lit up with a video message from an unknown number. She almost deleted it. Almost. Maya's face filled the screen, tears streaming, duct tape over her mouth. The camera pulled back to show her tied to a chair in what looked like an empty warehouse. Then a voice, accented, cold, amused. "Hello, Jennifer. My name is Dmitry Volkov. I have something that belongs to you. Well, someone. Pretty girl. Your sister. Smart, too. Columbia University. Such an accomplishment." A pause. "Here are my terms. You for her. 24 hours. I'll send location. Come alone, or I send her back to you in pieces. Don't involve police. Don't involve your Korean boyfriend, or she dies screaming. TikTok beautiful." The video ended on Maya's terrified eyes. Jennifer's hands shook so violently she dropped the phone. Then she was scrambling for it, unblocking the number she'd sworn never to call again, pressing dial with trembling fingers. Kwang-Sun answered on the first ring. "Jennifer? He has Maya," her voice cracked. "Dmitri has my sister. He wants me in exchange, 24 hours. I'm coming. Don't move. Don't respond to him. I'm coming right now." 15 minutes later, her apartment filled with men in tactical gear. Minjun set up computers on her kitchen counter. Kwang-Sun went straight to her, hands framing her face, searching her eyes. The file, the betrayal, the anger, none of it mattered now. "Show me the video." She played it. Watched his expression harden with each second, jaw clenching when Dmitri called her beautiful, eyes going cold and lethal when Maya's face appeared. "Red Hook," Minjun said from the computer, tracing IP addresses. "Warehouse district, probably the old shipping facility on Richard Street. We've been monitoring his movements. This fits his pattern." "How fast can we move?" Kwang-Sun's voice was pure ice. 30 minutes to assemble full team, another 20 to position. We hit at dawn when their alertness is lowest. "Do it." Kwang-Sun turned back to Jennifer. "You stay here with 2 guards." "No." Jennifer's voice was steel. "She's my sister. I won't hide while you—" "This isn't negotiable." "Neither is this." Jennifer grabbed his jacket. "He took her because of me, because I'm with you. I won't sit safe in my apartment while she's terrified in a warehouse. I can't." Something in her face made him stop. "You stay in the tactical van, with communications only. You don't leave that van no matter what you hear. Understood?" "Understood." Dawn broke cold and gray over Red Hook. Jennifer sat in the van between Minjun and another operative, watching screens showing feeds from cameras on Kwang-Sun's team. 12 men, moving like shadows through the warehouse complex, weapons drawn, silent as death. "Alpha team in position," Kwang-Sun's voice came through crystal clear. "Beta team, in position. On my mark. 3, 2, 1. Execute." The screens erupted in controlled chaos, doors breaching, shouts in Russian, gunfire, controlled bursts, professional. Jennifer's hands gripped the edge of the console, watching Kwang-Sun's camera feed move through corridors, take out guards with brutal efficiency, push deeper into the building. "Target located," a different voice. "Second floor, northeast corner. Moving." Kwang's feed showed stairs, a door, then Maya, still tied, still terrified, but alive. "I've got her. Exfil now." But Dmitri's voice cut through the comms, distant but clear. "Tell your boss he just made a very big mistake." "He's rabbiting," someone shouted. "South exit, black SUV." "Let him go," Kwang-Sun ordered. "Priority is the girl. Everyone out. Now." Minutes later, the van door opened and Kwang-Sun was there, carrying Maya wrapped in his jacket. Jennifer pulled her sister into her arms, feeling her sob against her shoulder, alive and warm and safe. As they drove away from the warehouse, Jennifer heard Kwang-Sun on his phone, voice low and deadly. "Find him. I want to know everywhere he goes, everyone he talks to, every breath he takes. And Minjun, when we find him, I want this finished, permanently." Jennifer held Maya tighter and felt something dark settle in her chest. Relief that Kwang-Sun was capable of this violence, gratitude for the protection it offered, and terror at how easily she'd accepted it. She'd crossed a line tonight. They both had, and there was no going back. The Fashion Week after-party was all champagne and air kisses, designers and models celebrating another successful season. Jennifer moved through it mechanically, her smile practiced and empty. Maya was safe at home with their mother, who'd flown in from Baltimore. Kwang-Sun had insisted on security for both of them. Life was returning to something resembling normal, except Jennifer woke every night, reaching for him across sheets that felt too cold. "Miss Carrey?" The woman appeared at her elbow, late 30s, sharp suit, FBI credentials held discreetly at her side. Agent Elena Rodriguez, I need 5 minutes of your time. Jennifer's blood went cold. It's not a request. There's a private room upstairs. We can do this quietly, or I can make a scene. Your choice. The room was small, windowless. Rodriguez set a tablet on the table between them, pulled up files, surveillance photos of Jennifer entering Kwang-Sun's building, financial records showing transfers to her account, timestamps of her presence at locations later connected to criminal activity. We've been building a case against Kwang-Sun for 2 years, Rodriguez said without preamble. Racketeering, money laundering, extortion, conspiracy. We have surveillance, recorded conversations, financial transactions, witness testimony. Everything except one thing. Someone close to him willing to testify about his personal operations. I don't know anything about his business. You lived with him for 2 months. You have access to his penthouse, his schedule, his associates. You were present during planning sessions for your sister's extraction. That alone constitutes conspiracy. Rodriguez leaned forward. Here's what I'm offering. Full immunity for you and your family. Witness protection if you want it. A chance to start over somewhere safe, away from this world. All you have to do is testify. And if I refuse, then you're charged as an accessory. Racketeering, money laundering, conspiracy. You're looking at 15 to 20 years federal prison. Rodriguez slid another document across. You have 72 hours to decide. After that, the offer disappears and the charges proceed. Jennifer's hands shook as she took the paperwork. Don't tell Kwang-Sun. If we suspect you've compromised the investigation, the deal is void and we arrest you immediately. Rodriguez stood. 72 hours, Miss Carrey. Choose wisely. The next 3 days were hell. Jennifer's mother sat at her kitchen table, gripping her hand. Take the deal, baby. We'll start over. Maya needs stability, needs safety. This man, whatever you feel for him, he's destroying our family. Maya, still hollow-eyed from her captivity, whispered, I just want it to be over, Jen. I just want to feel safe again. Keisha paced Jennifer's living room. I love you, but you can't go to prison for him. You can't sacrifice your entire life for a man you've known 4 months. That's not love, that's suicide. Only Jennifer understood the impossible mathematics of the choice. Betray Kwang-Sun and destroy the man who'd saved her sister, protected her family, loved her despite every reason not to. Or refuse and watch her mother and sister pay the price for her loyalty, watch her own freedom disappear into federal prison. She didn't sleep, couldn't eat, spent 70 hours turning the decision over until the edges wore smooth and meaningless. On hour 71, she made her choice. Jennifer showed up at Kwang-Sun's penthouse without calling first. He opened the door in shirt sleeves and reading glasses, surprise and joy warring across his face before concern won. What's wrong? She walked past him to the terrace, needing air, needing space to say what she'd come to say. He followed, waiting while she gathered courage. The FBI approached me 3 days ago, Jennifer said finally. They want me to testify against you. They've offered immunity, protection, a new life. If I refuse, they'll charge me as an accessory. I have, she checked her phone, 11 hours left to decide. Kwang-Sun's face went carefully blank. What are you going to do? I came to ask what you want me to do. That's not my decision. Yes, it is, her voice cracked. Because if I testify, you go to prison. If I don't, I go to prison. Either way, someone I love gets destroyed. So tell me, what do you want me to do? He moved to the railing, staring at the city spread below them. When he spoke, his voice was barely above a whisper. I want you to take the deal. Jennifer's breath caught. What? Take the deal. Testify, get immunity, keep your family safe. He turned to face her, and the resignation in his eyes broke her heart. I've been preparing for this for months. My lawyers have exit strategies. I won't let you sacrifice everything for me. And if I can't live with that choice, then you learn to. His hand reached out, cupped her face one last time. Because I love you too much to let you drown with me. But Jennifer had come prepared for a different conversation. She found Kwang-Sun exactly where she expected, on the terrace, staring at Manhattan like a king surveying a kingdom he no longer wanted. He didn't turn when she approached, just kept watching the city lights blur into stars. "I've been talking to my attorneys," he said quietly, "about something I should have done years ago." He finally looked at her. "I'm getting out. Completely. I'll cooperate with federal prosecutors, take reduced charges, serve whatever minimum time they offer. Min Jun will take over operations with strict instructions to legitimize everything over the next 5 years. My legitimate businesses stay mine. When I'm free," his voice caught, "when I'm free, I'll build a different life." Jennifer's breath stopped. "You do that? I met you and realized I've been surviving instead of living. I'm tired, Jennifer, tired of violence, of watching my back, of this darkness." He turned fully toward her. "But I need to know something first. Will you wait? 2 years, maybe 3? I can't ask you to put your life on hold, but—" "I came here to tell you I won't testify," Jennifer interrupted, "even if it means prison. I can't betray you." They stared at each other, understanding dawning. They'd both chosen the same impossible path from different directions, both willing to sacrifice everything rather than lose each other. "You won't have to," Kwang-Sun said, pulling her close. "I'm giving the FBI everything. You'll have full immunity as part of my cooperation deal. Your family stays safe. You stay free. And you go to prison. For a while. Then I come home to you." Jennifer was about to respond when alarms shrieked through the penthouse. Kwang-Sun's body went rigid, already moving, pulling her toward the hallway. "Panic room, now!" "What?" Gunfire erupted, glass shattered, men shouting in Russian. Kwang-Sun shoved her through a hidden door, followed her in, sealed them inside the reinforced room. Through security monitors, they watched Dmitry Volkov and his remaining men storm the penthouse, weapons raised, death in their eyes. "He knows about the FBI deal," Kwang-Sun said, already on his phone. "Min Jun, we're under attack. Dmitry's here. Full response." Jennifer gripped his arm, watching the screens show chaos, Dmitry's men destroying furniture, searching rooms, getting closer to their location. "He's going to kill us. He's going to try." Kwang-Sun pulled her tight against him. "But if this is it, I need you to know. Loving you was worth everything." Then the tide turned. Min Jun's team hit the penthouse from multiple entry points, and behind them, FBI tactical units. Agent Rodriguez's voice came through the speakers. "Drop your weapons, FBI." The firefight lasted 4 minutes. Dmitry made it to the terrace, refused to surrender, and a police sniper ended him from a neighboring building. When silence fell, Kwang-Sun opened the panic room to find Rodriguez standing there, weapon lowered. "Your cooperation just saved a lot of lives," she said, "including your own. 2 years minimum security, full immunity for Miss Carrey and anyone in your organization who cooperates with transition. Deal's on the table if you want it." Kwang-Sun looked at Jennifer. She nodded. "Take it. Deal." 3 days later, Jennifer sat in a holding facility visiting room, staring at Kwang-Sun through reinforced glass, phones pressed to their ears. 2 years, he said. "I'll wait 20, but you're doing 2, so don't get comfortable." She tried to smile through tears. "What will you do while I'm gone?" "Build the agency. Visit Maya at therapy. Learn to cook Korean food so I can make you dinner when you're home." Her voice cracked. "Home." His palm pressed against the glass. She matched it from her side. "Wherever you are," he said. "Wherever we are." 22 months later, Jennifer stood outside the Brooklyn facility in jeans and a sweater, heart pounding harder than any runway walk. The doors opened. Kwang-Sun emerged in civilian clothes, no suit, no armor, looking younger, lighter, free. They walked toward each other slowly, savoring every step, and when they finally embraced, it was quiet and perfect and real. "I have job interviews next week," he murmured against her hair. "Tech consulting, very boring." She laughed through tears. "Boring sounds perfect." She showed him photos of the Park Slope brownstone she'd chosen, far from his old territory. "It's small." He looked at her instead of the screen. It's home. Walking to her car, Jennifer asked, "Do you regret it? The wrong number?" Kwang-Sun stopped, cupped her face. That wasn't the wrong number. That was fate correcting my path. She kissed him in the middle of the sidewalk. No hiding, no fear, no shame. Just two people who'd found each other in chaos and chose to become better than they were. They drove toward Park Slope together, toward their small apartment and boring job interviews and ordinary, beautiful future. Sometimes the wrong number is exactly right. Sometimes love requires becoming someone new. Sometimes the best stories start with a mistake that turns out to be fate all along.